Hi, my name is Patrick, and today I'd like to give you a brief overview of how to play this game called Hello My Friend. This can be played by between 4 and 8 players, and can take as little as 45 minutes to play, but if you have the opportunity to extend it out to about 2 hours of game time, it can work really well as an opportunity for students to work together, to find out interesting facts from each other's lives, and to build some teamwork and unity among themselves. You can see here we have the game board. We have player tokens. Each one will have a fun flag from a different country around the world on them, and a corresponding point marker that they can move along the point scoring table as the game progresses. We have 4 different decks of cards: Lounge Area, Fortune, Force Majeure, and Imagine. We have a dice, player voting cards, which come into play later, and a white marking tile for the third phase of the game. The game is broken up into 3 different phases. In the first part of the game, players will move their tiles around the board after rolling the die. Once rolling the die, they'll see what number comes up and move that number of spaces in a clockwise manner, starting from the harbor, and then do what is ever written on the tile there. Here they would get to move +1 points in the scoring table. If there was a negative, then they would move backwards that amount. If there's any text on the tile, then they would either draw the card from the corresponding pile. Here they would draw from the Force Majeure, read it. Where do you think the captain on the right would go for the holidays? Answer it, and if correct, then they continue. If they're wrong, then there's a penalty that they have to pay for Force Majeure. On the Fortune cards, if they land on one of those tiles, again, there's a question to answer, but this time, if they are correct, then they move forward 2 steps. It'll be something about their own life, so hopefully they don't mess that up. And the lounge area has fun facts like, did you know that no 2 lines are the same whisker pattern, or that crocodiles can't stick their tongue out? And there's no penalty or bonus, it's just kind of a fun, interesting thing to read. Also along the board, there are a couple of interesting spots on the Discover tile. If someone lands on there, then they get to ask 1 question of any other player on the board. If they land on the Work in the Canal tile, then instead of going around the edge of the board, then they have to divert their piece through this canal, going plus or minus points as they land on those until coming back to the board in this area. Every time you pass the harbor, you get to gain 3 points. And this phase of the game will extend until they reach either 60 points, if there's either 4 or 5 players, or 40 points, if there's between 6 and 8 players in the game. At this point, you move into the second phase. Whoever is in first place will start by putting their tile on the 8-point marker, resetting the score, and then second place, and third, fourth, and so on, depending on how many players there are. In this phase of the game, players will take a pen and a piece of paper, and they have 5 minutes to write down as many facts as they can remember about each player also sitting around the table playing the game with them. After the 5 minutes are up, players will go around again in clockwise manner and read aloud what they've written about the other players. Then they'll go around one more time, and each player will select who he thinks were the top 3 people about remembering facts about the other players in the game. Each time you hear your name mentioned as one of the top 3 people for remembering facts about others, you get to move your tile forward on the scoring table 1 spot. This will continue until all the players have gone around, and then you move into phase 3 of the game. In phase 3, whoever is in first place with points will roll the dice and then move this marker around the harbor area the number of times. So if he rolls a 3, he'll move it 3 spaces, and then whoever has this country tile, he would pull up one of the Imagine cards and ask a question about that person. So it says, imagine that Patrick is a famous singer. Who would he or she be? Or, excuse me, what singer must he or she make a duet with to become more successful? Then everyone would take one of their voting tiles, one of their voting cards, and choose whether they think it was option 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. They would keep it a secret from everyone else. They would choose it and hold it. Once everyone has selected theirs, at the same time they'll all reveal. Whichever number has the most votes will give points for all the players who selected that. So for instance, if there were more people who selected number 3 than anyone, then every player who selected this would get 1 point to move their scoring tile forward. If the person who is named in the Imagine card also chose the most popular vote, then everyone gets 2 points for having selected that. This phase of the game will continue until you reach, I believe it's 40 points, or as time permits, depending on how much time is in your class schedule. Again, I hope you can enjoy this game. I hope it's a great tool for yourself and your students to get to know each other better and to have some fun while you're doing it. Thanks for listening.